Greetings, good evening. Just wanted to go on a quick rant here. You see, a few days ago, Jashub from the Yap Gang put up this short but provocative Facebook post, which you see on your screen. And it was, like I said, it was very short, and it reads, quote, "DHI cult wants to be the ADL," end quote. Now, I concede up front that I don't speak for Yeshub. I can't speak for Yeshub, but I am nonetheless confident that I think I know what he's referring to in that post. So I'd like to nuance it a bit and offer some comments and perhaps even offer a bit of corroborating evidence. First and foremost, as a bit of a disclaimer, it needs to be noted for those who don't know or those who might raise an objection, it needs to be noted that Yeshub was not applying that statement to everyone in the diverse Israelite spectrum. Rather, he's alluding to a subset within the Israelite spectrum, right? And regarding the ADL, which is to say the Anti-Defamation League, some critics of that organization have argued that it has sometimes overstepped certain bounds by employing accusations of anti-Semitism, which is to say of anti-Jewish bigotry, to unfairly shut down legitimate arguments or criticisms, right? So with that accusation in mind, Yeshub's post was alluding to the inherent irony which is found among some within the Israelite spectrum, the diverse Israelite spectrum, right? Some within that spectrum who will echo precisely that criticism of the ADL while simultaneously aspiring to successfully deploy precisely those tactics which they decry, right? Now, that might sound a little strange, so let's consider some examples, right? Just today, the We Woke Now channel put out a video titled, "Is the ADL a Hate Group?" And in that video, the man who runs that account complained about the ADL raising charges of bigotry against Ron Dalton, right? Here's an excerpt and fair use.
The ADL. You have to really deal with the ADL, because I saw that the ADL did a very ugly, nasty, deceptive post on their website about Ron Dalton. Same thing the Southern Poverty does when, did with our community, this awakening, starting with the Black Hebrew, not Black Hebrew, but the Black identity extremists. We got to, a lot of stuff out there. A lot of junk is out there. See, family, the Anti-Defamation League, you guys better start doing your homework. Don't just start.
Now, that video on the We Woke Now channel is actually what inspired this rant that I'm going on in this video, which you're currently watching right now, because it struck me as capturing the sentiment of Yeshub's post from a few days ago. You see, the man who runs that We Woke Now channel is honestly quite notorious for attempting to shut down discussions by raising charges of hatred and bigotry. In fact, in one of my earliest interactions with him, I won't call it a direct interaction, but in the sense that it was an interaction in the sense that he was responding to a video I had made, gently responding to a video he had made, right? And this is 3 years ago. He had actually threatened to sue me for defamation, literally for defamation, like the word that the D in ADL stands for. He threatened to sue me for defamation simply because I had disagreed with him on the methodology for interpreting markings on some pews in a church in Savannah, Georgia.
And technically, if I wanted to go legal on these guys, I can literally take a legal case out on them because they are defaming my character.
Correct.
Now, I might be tempted to call that gentleman an aspiring one-man Anti-Defamation League, but he's not by himself. He's not alone in this matter, right? There are actually others around him with a similar line of thought, right? With a similar thought processes, right? Like, for example, 2 years ago, he was on a show with one of his supporters, and he was co-signing a plan to try to get videos which disagreed with them taken down by having them flagged for alleged anti-Semitism. They were literally plotting to accuse videos which had nothing to do with anti-Semitism of being anti-Semitic just so they could get them flagged and taken down, right? Here, consider this clip. And again, fair use.
I was talking to Dante. Dante said, it's all right. They do some flag them. And that's plain and simple. Because if you flag them, guess what, y'all? They get shut down. So if we find out they doing the video, the UA community, that's them, flag them. Let's shut them down. And that's key. We are going to have to make a concerted effort that if you do our videos like the way you've been doing them, we're going to flag you. and we will get that video shut down overnight. So that's why I said, family, if you are a mod, please make sure you are on point in this chat on Sunday. And if y'all see videos, start flagging them as anti-Semitic, plain and simple.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that.
And they wound up trying to deploy that tactic against videos which, for example, merely disagreed with them on language-related questions, right? And they also went on to promote a change.org petition accusing a diverse spectrum of people of anti-Semitism. And all of those people just happened to be folks who dared to disagree with them, on one or more of their public claims, right? And more recently, roughly a month ago, the We Woke Now channel put up a community post insinuating that if you got Igbo in a DNA test, you can then combine that with a Psaq din, a rabbinic legal ruling, which concluded that Igbos are Israelites. You can combine the two and try to bring hate crime charges against your critics. I mean, seriously, I could make a whole video on the convoluted logic of that post. For example, I would want to ask if the host of the We Woke Now channel thinks that the halachic status of Ashkenazi Jews within the rabbinic spectrum somehow entails that anyone who gets Ashkenazi Jewish in a DNA test is therefore magically exempt from criticism, right? Is that how he thinks that works? And does he want that imaginary power to be transferred to him? I don't know. But perhaps that's a discussion for another time, right? Getting back to my rant right here, and the topic is this pattern of aspiring to be like their stereotype of the ADL, right? It's also worth noting that just a few days ago, the We Woke Now channel put up yet another community post, and which once again shared his desire, this long-standing desire to bring litigation against those who dare to disagree with him. And the post shared a video from the Boom Church account, which is closely related to the We Woke Now channel account. In that video, the host of the Boom Church channel claimed that certified letters had been sent from some unnamed attorney to a popular Christian apologist who disagreed with both of them, with the Boom Church and the We Woke Now channel. Now, if these men would like to publicly share the content of those certified letters, these apparent legal documents from some unnamed attorney, I'd love to look them over, as I must confess, I'm honestly skeptical about how much substance or teeth might be found therein. Now, I'll concede up front that maybe they'll claim that for legal reasons, they're not at liberty to publicly post the letters, the content of the letters, right? And that's fine, right? But aside from that, I'm also curious about the law firm that sent the letters. Does this unnamed attorney have or work for a particular practice, like a particular law firm? And if so, can we be informed about that law firm and its location, right? Or will that be kept a secret, just like these gentlemen have kept the assorted scholars and doctorate bestowing institutions that they've invoked over the years secret? I don't know. Whatever the case, ironically, that video on the Boom Church channel went on to complain about past videos by a certain Catholic bringing up legal bluffs, right? And that would be in reference to me. You see, these men actually have a history of making legal threats against people who disagree with them. And to date, those myriad legal threats of litigation, they have not panned out so far, right? And just to bring up one example, there was an instance back in December of 2020, when the host of the We Woke Now channel threatened to bring federal and international charges against assorted Christian apologists in Florida, Chicago, and Arizona. And here he meant, Christian apologists who dared to disagree with him, And now, that was nearly 2 years ago, and he currently does not seem willing to discuss how those cases are coming along, right? Those federal cases and international legal cases, right? And I have a video on that pattern, discussing that and other legal threats. And I'll link to the video, amongst the sources which I list in the video description. But suffice to say, there is a certain irony in this crowd spending years making a variety of legal threats and then complaining that some had wondered if those threats might have been mere bluffs, right? And then on top of that, trying to add yet another legal threat onto that pile of legal threats, right? Oh man, whatever the case, the ultimate point here is that the man running the We Woke Now channel and some of his supporters don't actually disagree with the unfair tactics which the ADL is sometimes accused of employing, right? This crowd doesn't actually disagree with trying to shut down disagreement via accusations of bigotry and threats of legal action, right? Rather, they themselves openly fantasize about deploying precisely those tactics against folks who dared to diverge from their preferred narrative, right? And analogous to the heavy-handed pressure deployed against Kyrie Irving, this cohort wants to punish thought crimes committed on social media. In short, they aspire to become their own version of the way they perceive the ADL. In short, one might get the impression that perhaps they desire to establish their own sort of Hebrew Israelite Anti-Defamation League. You might call it the HI-ADL. Oh, and by the way, if more astute observers wonder about my including the tet in the Hebrew text, I did that because in that same video from today, the We Woke Now channel's video about the ADL, the guy from that channel repeated his insistence that he's an Israelite, not an Israeli, unwittingly preferring a Greek and Latin prefix over a Hebrew prefix, based on something he read in an English source, and I have a past video discussing that as well. But that aside, I'm about to close this video. However, before I do so, I want to stress the irony in this crowd decrying infringements on free speech, or the infringements of some people's free speech rights, yet simultaneously wanting to themselves infringe on the free speech of others. I mean, if you want to be free speech maximalists, I'm all for it, right? I myself have posted my own disagreements with the pressure which has been put on Kyrie Irving, for example. But if you're going to be a free speech maximalist, you shouldn't be out here trying to shut down discussions with accusations of racism and anti-Semitism, or by pushing petitions accusing people who disagreed with you of such, or by trying to get videos flagged and trying to intimidate folks with a myriad of threats of litigation, right? Just a few days ago, the guy from the We Woke Now channel was on the Moxy approved channel, and they were reviewing Ron Dalton's film, Hebrew to Negroes, right? And the guy from the We Woke Now channel was engaging in what would popularly be considered Holocaust revisionism, right? He was arguing for a significant reduction in the number of people who died during the Holocaust. Now, if he wants to say that too should fall under free speech, okay, there are very serious academics who would agree, like most notably Noam Chomsky. But if free speech covers that, then so too it should cover the trivial disagreements he and his followers have tried to punish, right? It's absurd to argue that criticism of the popular understanding of the death toll in the Holocaust should be protected under the right to free expression, but somehow criticism of claims made in videos on the We Woke Now or Boom Church channels cannot be afforded the same protection and right. I mean, think about how absurd that is. But, like I said, the sad reality is that this crowd doesn't disagree with the tactics they accuse the ADL of employing, right? On the contrary, as Jashub alluded to in that Facebook post shown at the start of this video, this crowd aspires to employ precisely those tactics. They only disagree on who should be employing such tactics. They simply want the power to shut down dissent transferred to them. And on that note, I'll stop with this short rant. And, as always, I look forward to the comments of others. God bless.
Then we will tap into that. Because when the truth comes out to say, hey, we are the people of the book, now there's a lot of things that has to be undone. That means that whatever is being set aside for the Jewish community as we know them, that means that each one of us are entitled to that.